Hello and welcome to lecture, I think it's lecture 6 of Reflective Dialectic. Also the people online who's watching, thank you for returning. Thank you to you as well. I'm Philip and I am introducing this series on the Reflective Dialectic, both the practical and the theoretical sessions. This is lecture 6, as I said, on the theory side. As I just alluded, these sessions provide a chart to navigate through the stormy conditions created by identity politics, of being, of sex, and death. So, today I'm going to introduce to you the cosmic ecosystem that explains human diversity. Now, I wanted to do it last time when I gave you all the other methods of managing diversity, but we ran out of time. There was a slight problem. And also it's a good thing that we ran out of time because I'm now going to give you a full one and I wouldn't have to do that later on. Right. So let's get on to it. This is, last time I did A to F, this is G of the different methods. Now, yes, it's lecture 6, it tells me so. Right. Now, for the original concept of what I'm producing here today, or introducing here today, was Bronfenbrenner, who developed a system, an ecological system, to look at how people develop, how we develop from childhood to adulthood. But, however, in my research I've changed it slightly, and it might be changed again. I added 2 subsystems. What you will see here is the different subsystems. Bronfenbrenner didn't have the pico subsystem here. He started with a micro subsystem. And Bronfenbrenner didn't introduce the cosmo subsystem, which is there for meaning mostly. Now, let me run through the subsystems with you quickly. If we look at the structure, and then I would say, looking at modernism, remember modernism, postmodernism, I would say the structure in itself is modernist. What we're going to introduce as content in the different subsystems in human diversity terms will then be the antithesis. Now, there's a few interesting things. I should actually say it at the end, but I'm just going to say it now. This system is a attractor in phase space, which means that the connectivity between the different subsystems will indicate or determine actually whether it's a static system, there's very little connection, or a periodic connection, there's some connection but not enough, and things will sway from one side to the other side, say from conservatism to radicalism. The other thing is, it's also a fractal. Now, for those of you who doesn't know what a fractal is, it's a thing which doesn't, independent of the magnification, you see the same thing. In this case, being a fractal, I'm here going to do it within an institutional context. But I can go to my own body, and the cell in my body is in the ecosystem, and my body in total, the aging one, is a whole system. So it's very different from diversity, which we're going to look at, human diversity, which we're going to look at today. If you want to know more about the cell systems and how intelligence comes from cells up to body, there's a guy, Michael Levine, not the philosopher, the scientist. He's on YouTube as well. Just go and check him out, Michael Levine. And you will learn a lot. The other thing, and here I don't have a name for you, but you can just type in at YouTube something like plant intelligence. You get him above a tree in a forest, and she, if I may call her that, will look after her siblings. She will use mushrooms, system over here, to get food and water to her siblings, and some other plants of her own kind. And nepotism and racism is part of tree life. But the tree can work with the mushroom systems to provide what it wants. So it's a very versatile system, and I'm going to go through it now with you very quickly. I've told you it's a thesis, the antithesis, and the reflective system we're going to use here is going to try and provide us some synthesis. Remember, we're looking at reflective dialectics. Right, let's look at the pico subsystem. In a system, and you're looking at the organization, it will be the leader, the CEO, the president of a country, or prime minister if you're in England. But wherever you are in an organization, you can also be the pico subsystem, and from you onwards, there will be the other systems. So mainly we look at the leadership, but please remember that's not all it is. No matter all these different subsystems, it remains a unitary system from our point of view. Remember, we don't find dialectics everywhere. Now, what Brenner called the micro subsystem, it's my relationship with you. I'm talking to any one of you. We are now in the micro subsystem. If we are talking together like we should in the practical, then we're in a meso subsystem, because I'm talking to you, you're talking to him, and you're talking to me. It's the meso subsystem. Right. Now, to move to the exo subsystem, we're looking at our organization. So that's where the exo subsystem then is. And it's an institutional dynamic. Right. The macro subsystem, according to Brenner, which is E over here, it's a different organizations in your sphere. Mostly it does the same thing you do, and it's a government who supplies you with water and electricity and roads, and give political direction, and it is the people working for you, and you can get people from in the industry to supplement your own employees if you need to. Right, where were I? At the macro system. Then the cosmic system, one I added as well. It's different things. It's things emerging. So at this stage, the organization is using telephones and mailboxes to communicate, sending letters. All of a sudden you get fax machines and things change. The meaning of things changes as well. Because what's a fax machine? And then comes the internet. And things changes again. And then comes the big problem organizations have at the moment is social media. People saying things on social media and the company feels it's been harmed by that. So things changes, and that's what the Cosmo system stands for. It's about the complexity of a behavior. Right. And how systems connect. Then the chrono subsystem is what Bronfenbrenner told us, is time. Now, Bronfenbrenner had these as circles, and because I thought time was lengthening anything out, I just draw it like an oval or a rugby ball for the rugby players out there. No, I'm not one of you. So, right, F. We didn't look at F. And F is, oh no, we did. It's a Cosmo system, and I've drawn it like that. Right. Now let's look at how are we going to look at the system to reflect on it. Now, first of all, time, which I sometimes bring in, is already in the model, so I'm not adding it down here. So we're getting to power. And power is the influences and the leadership dynamics. Now, influences these days of social media is a very new and different thing. But in an organization, you will get at every point or every level at the hierarchy, you might find an influencer, a highly connected person. So that's also power. It may be informal power, not the formal power of leadership, but it's still power. Now, the Pico subsystem can also be an idea. Now, the problem is with the power of an idea. It has full power here by the person who brings the idea to the table. But as it goes through the system away from the person who originated the idea, it drops off, it changes. There's no it's not consistent. And this drop off in power can be, or in meaning even, of this idea can be very dramatic. And if you read the fifth discipline of Senge, Peter Senge, the name I forgot the other day, he will talk about total quality management, and he will explain this dropping off of an idea to you there more than I can do. Better than I can do. Right, that's maybe enough power. Let me see. Yeah. Remember, we are currently moving to cyberspace. So there's a change here in the cosmic system, which is going to affect power as well. Right, let's look at energy, the next one over here. And as I said before, when I said it's an attractor, it is the connectivity within the system. I've explained it there, so I'm not going to explain it here now. But energy is also dependent on the health within the system. If it's a corrupt system, it's not healthy. If it's a system where people fight with each other, it's not healthy. If it's a system where people cooperate and collaborate, that can be very healthy for the system. And that changes the energy dynamics within the system. If people are either working together or fighting with each other. Now, you need surplus energy in the system to drive innovation. I call it creativity more within the academic media, but I prefer innovation. Creativity to me, what did we say about, I think it was lecture 2, about defining things properly. Right. And again, as I said, energy also dissipates with the system, over time especially. You can have cases where energy increases in the system if there's a lot of innovation, but if the system is periodic or static, especially, it will dissipate over time. So what we want ideally is a system which is dynamic, a critical, complex system with just the right amount of connectivity. Right, the next thing we will have to look at is the environment. Oh, sorry, just getting back to energy, I've written it here. Capital is also important within the energy environment, as well as the human resources. Back to the environment. Now, two things are important. First of all, actually 3 things. First of all, the resources we use, the natural resources, are getting depleted. So we are using more natural resources than what we actually have available to sustain ourselves over a long period of time. Then there is the climate. We are damaging the climate. There's 2 things here which you must take in consideration. One is there's a natural fluctuation in the climate. And the climate in many moons ago, many eons ago, was much warmer than today. But for our current ecosystem, the climate is just right. But it can move all by itself depending on natural forces. And there's some of it we're not sure. If you listen to some people, we're going to an ice age. If you listen to others, we are going to hell. But the thing is, independent of that, we are also changing the climate. We are warming it up. And we have to look at that because we're going to have more intense weather patterns. Colder, warmer, wetter, drier. And that's not what we want. The third thing here, and I almost forgot about it, is pollution. We are polluting our environment badly. We've got things like microplastics in the water, and we don't know how dangerous that is. Just one example. The fishes are suffering from it. And the fishes are suffering, we might suffer. Right, the last one, on how do we reflect on the system. That would be ethics. Our moral orientation or our legal systems, our policies that says how you should behave yourself. Conduct, code of conduct, we might call it. So there's a moral system where, and you'll find in diversity discussions, but first go to the legal system. The legal system is not protecting us enough. We need to change the legal system. We need to change the legal system. We need to change the legal system. And when nothing happens, or when we get stopped there, or shown where, well, how can I call it? That we're not really should look at the legal system because everything is okay there. Then they go to the moral system. They say, yeah, but let's do the right thing. And the right thing is what they will think is the right thing, not what you will think is the right thing. Except if you want to learn. The other thing is the Geist. How the community feels, or how society feels at a specific stage of time. Now, the only way I can explain this is to go to my old way of doing it. Let's take slavery. Any of you who think slavery is a good thing? No. Right. From a Christian point of view, I can say that Jesus was a righteous person. However, he never spoke about slavery as wrong. Never. Not from what we can gather. Because slavery was essential at that stage. It was essential and it was right. Because it was essential, it was for the greater good of a human race. Because it didn't have any steam engines at the time to do the work. We didn't have computers. We didn't have big machines. Everything was manual labor. Manual labor, slavery. That's the best way to do it then. So it changed. The adult, the human adult used to be at 12 years old. It's not now. You look at the legal system now, an adult can be anything from 18, 21 to 25, depending on what you talk about. So the guys changed, so ethics is relative very much to the Geist, to the legal system, to the moral system. Right. I think that explains it. Now, ethics speaks to behavior that promote the following things. I'll have to read it. Empathy, respect, fairness, gratitude, and at the same time brings certain actions to a fore. For example, taking responsibility. Important. Even more important, being accountable, being dependable, being honest. Those who listen to the American presidential election at the moment, being honest. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Nobody's looking at me funny, but it's okay. I'll leave it there. Having integrity and seeking rapport. Right. Those are important things. Right. So, what is that? Let's see what I left out. I did tell you, oh yes, the most important thing, how do I use this? Now, the way to use this is, if you are the Pico SAP system, you start to draw a network. I'm connecting to a person over here, so I draw a line. I'm connecting to a person over here. This person is connected to that person, so I can close that triangle. But that will seldom happen. So it becomes an open web. And then I can also say, my relationship with this person is very, very strong. So I can put in a double line. My relationship with this person is weak, so it's a single line. My relationship to a person over here is changing all the time. He's sometimes in a good mood, sometimes in a bad mood. So it's like a zigzag in the system, or a gap in the system if you're actually enemies, but you have to work together. But there's no standard way of doing that. You can make it up for yourself. But in your organization, you should use the same system if it's done from an organizational point of view. And it can help the CEO to figure out how healthy and how well connected the system is within his organization. It can also show him if you've got indications like, I'm a woman and I'm connected to a man here, I'm a little triangle and the man's a little square. I wanted to say it's the other way around and then decided not to because it can be dangerous. Or I'm black and I'm connected to a white person, you know, we've got this black and white story. Or LGBTQ or whatever. That can enrich the system as well. So, that is most of what I've got here, I think. Let me just check. I did tell you the things of interest. Oh, there's one thing I didn't tell you. As you go from the Pico system to the exosystem, things become more us. It's us, it's me, it's us. To more them, they, the other. As you cross the exosystem, you pretty much are in other territory. Everything almost there is other. Exosystem, you've got a sport team, they can still be us. And all the other sport teams, them. Okay, leave that one there. Get back to it in another time. I said it was a fracture. Right, what's the provocative questions? And remember when I did the others, I didn't have this because I'm going to get back to them. Now, the first provocative question you must ask is, how extensive is my communication system? How much influence and power do I have? What's the collaboration within the system? Another question is, how strong are the various branches in this network? And then, how do I ensure either innovation or ethical conduct within the different systems? And you're going to have to look at how strong it remains over time. And when a CEO, for example, or a president tells you to be ethical and this is the code of conduct of ethics, that leader should visit the other systems, subsystems, to go and measure there if his system is holding or not. Right, now, what do I want you to do for continuous practice? I want you to familiarize yourself with the system, which is obvious, and the solutions, by using the provocative questions. And then, as I always say, go and scan for other information so that you can strengthen your knowledge. And now, just before we go, and I know that you want to go, remember there's a practical this afternoon, or is it tomorrow? Okay. For the next practical, I want you to go and read two things for me on YouTube. What is Feminism? By Michael Woken. She's a journalist and she spoke on Women's Day in Australia, and she's from, that was in 2023, it was also loaded in 2023, ABC News and Death. in depth. I will give that to you in writing. The other one I want you to look at, remember we're going away from race now. We still have a few things to say about race, but not much, and we're going to feminism. So the next one I want you to do for next time is Dr. Finn McKay. She's a lecturer at Bristol, and she speaks about radical feminist theory, and that was loaded in 2022. She's from the British Sociological Association. Right. After this, we'll move to sexual orientation, the LGBTQ stuff. For the next time, I'm going to do, next session, I'll do the hexagon. So thank you for your time, your attention, and your curiosity. And apparently, the practical is tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you.